Let's dive right in. We're talking about the wild world of music sampling. You know, that place where a single, tiny sound borrowed from an old record can either build a global smash hit or it can spark a multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Sound familiar? Yeah, that bass line. It's probably one of the most famous or infamous examples out there. When Vanilla Ice dropped Ice Ice Baby, everybody immediately recognized that classic riff from Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure. And, well, it didn't end well for him. A huge legal fight, an out-of-court settlement, and suddenly Bowie and Queen were getting songwriting credits and a whole lot of royalties. And that right there, that sets the stage perfectly for the big question.
And this really is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. All art, and especially music, is built on what came before. So how in the world do we figure out where a respectful tribute ends and where straight-up stealing begins? This is way more than just a legal headache. It's a creative puzzle that literally shapes the music we listen to every single day.
So yeah, the stakes, both financially and creatively, they just couldn't be any higher. This is that messy, fascinating place where art, ethics, and the law all crash into each other.
And you know, while the lawsuits and the drama always grab the headlines, the real heart of this thing, it's the artistic choice. What's a producer's actual responsibility when they reach back into history to create something brand new? It really all comes down to three things: intention, transformation, and respect.
So to get a handle on this, it helps to know that people who study this stuff don't see it as a simple right versus wrong kind of thing. Instead, they see three totally different paths a creator can go down with a sample. Okay, so path number one is plagiarism. The easiest way to think about this one, it's all about hiding. It's when a producer lifts a key part of someone else's work, tries to pass it off as their own, and really doesn't add anything new to the conversation. It's parasitic. It's just feeding on the power of the original without creating any of its own. Path number two is what we call homage. And this is an act of recognition. It's like a deliberate, open nod to your heroes. The artist isn't trying to hide the source at all. They're celebrating it. They're basically saying, hey, I love this thing, and my work is part of that same tradition. It's all about showing respect for your musical roots.
And that brings us to the third path, which, honestly, is where the real magic happens. It's called alchemy, and alchemy is all about rebirth. This is when you take a piece of sound and you transform it so radically, so completely, that it starts to say something entirely new. The original feeling, its job in the song, its whole meaning, it's all reborn as something totally different.
Okay, so that all sounds good in theory, right? Plagiarism, homage, alchemy. But how can you actually tell which path a song is on? How do we measure the difference between just a lazy loop and true creative alchemy? Well, for that, we can use a really practical tool, the transformation test.
This test basically gives us 4 different lenses to look at any sample through. So, first you ask about technique. How was it actually changed? Was it just a simple filter, or was it chopped up and rearranged into a totally new beat? Second, meaning. What does it say now? Does it still have that same happy vibe, or has it been twisted to sound sad or ironic? Third, quantity. How much of it did they use? Is it the main hook of the entire song, or is it just a tiny little piece of background texture? And finally, function. What's its new job? Is it still a melody, or did it become, say, a drum sound? See? It turns a vague gut feeling into a super clear checklist.
And here's kind of how that plays out on a spectrum. On one end, you have really low transformation. That's when a sample just has some cosmetic tweaks, like a little EQ, and it's still being used as the main hook, repeating the original emotion. But then on the far other end, you have high transformation. That's the alchemy. We're talking structural rewriting, like chopping a vocal into a new melody, completely inverting its original meaning and giving it a brand new purpose in the song. The pattern is pretty clear. The more you move from the left side of this chart to the right, the stronger your creative argument becomes.
So when you start using a toolkit like this, you can see that a producer isn't just one thing. Based on the choices they make, they could be a creator, a curator of sound, or, well, in the eyes of the law, a criminal. And the stakes involved here are just incredibly high.
I mean, we are talking about multi-million-dollar lawsuits. We're talking about your music getting automatically flagged and taken down from platforms like YouTube. You could lose all creative ownership, all ability to make money from your own work, and you even run the risk of damaging cultural stereotypes if you misuse a sample. It can totally overshadow everything else you've created.
But maybe there's an even bigger way to think about this. This quote puts it perfectly. When a producer samples, they're not just grabbing a cool sound. They're basically acting as a curator, an editor of our collective memory.
They're the ones choosing which sounds from our past get rescued, which ones get a new context, and which ones are left behind.
So the next time you're listening to a song and you hear that little piece of something familiar, think about this. Was that plagiarism? Was it a respectful homage? Or was it pure alchemy? Because the artist made a choice. And that choice isn't just about trying to make a hit song, it's about how we build our culture, piece by piece. So we have to ask ourselves, when we remix the past, what kind of future are we actually creating?